Hi everyone, I'm Anthony DiMoro, and this is another episode of Ranters Insider, courtesy of SportsRantz.com, and right here on SportsRantz TV. And I hope you're ready to rant because I'm ready to rant. And guys, I want each and every one of you to interact with me, either while you're watching this show, after you watch this show, whenever. I want you to interact with me and interact with Sports Rants because that's what we're all about. And you can interact with me directly on Twitter. My handle is @Anthony DiMoro. Feel free to give me a follow, mention me, ask me a question, and who knows, your question may be featured in our fan mail segment that airs on Ranters Insider each and every week. You can also follow Sports Rants on Twitter. The handle is @SportsRants. Keep in mind that Rants is spelled with a Z and not an S. And also come on over to Facebook. Give our fan page a like. And you can do so by finding us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/SportsRants. Once again, that's Rants spelled with a Z. Or you can join our group on Facebook. And you can find that one of two ways. Directly do a group search on Facebook for Sports Rants, or go to sportsrants.net. And as always, guys, we prefer you to come on over to our website and join our social community exclusively geared for sports fans, sports media, sports bloggers. If you'd like sports, if you talk about sports, if you blog about sports, have a radio show, this is the place for you. Come on over. Connect with other sports fans, other sports media, bloggers, radio hosts, and also share your sports-related content. Come on over to SportsRants.com. Memberships are 100% free. If you have a sports blog, feel free to share your article links on SportsRants.com. If you don't have a sports blog and have always wanted to try doing it, we allow you to host your own sports blog on SportsRants.com. And we even help you custom design your blog. So come on over to SportsRants.com, and if you do, don't forget to send me a rally request. It's kind of like a friend request or a follow request. We call it rallying. So come on over and rally me on SportsRants.com. And you can listen to me every Tuesday night on Sports Rants Radio. Yes, we have a radio station too. That's Sports Talk Radio. Awesome, right? Come on over to SportsRants.com/radio. See our full lineup of shows when they air. Listen to archived shows. Connect with the hosts. Pretty much a bunch of kick-ass stuff you can do. And I just want to make a note right here. Next Tuesday night on my show, The Rantin' and Raven Show, we're having 2 Denver Broncos come on the show and do interviews. And join me, my lovely co-host, Sports Radio Crime, my partner in Sports Radio Crime, Katie Mitchell, for next week's Rantin' and Raven Show. Telling you, it's great show lined up, including 2 Denver Broncos making an appearance on the show. So Broncos fans, certainly a show for you next Tuesday night. And even if you're not a Broncos fan, heck, who doesn't like to talk NFL football? So come on over and hear it straight from 2 Denver Broncos mouths. We'll be revealing who those players are as time unfolds, so stay tuned. I'll be announcing it on my Twitter and of course on Sports Rants Twitter and Facebook as well. Alright, so let's dive right into it. And with the topic that, let me just be honest with you, I love ranting. I mean, I do it on Sports Rants Radio, I do it on Sports Rants TV, I do it on Facebook, I do it on Twitter, sometimes I write on SportsRants.com. But I've been chomping at the bit to talk about this topic. And a recent news story that circulated has indicated that numerous former NFL players are getting ready to file lawsuits against the National Football League. And I asked a lot of you on Twitter how you felt about this. And a lot of you, well, it seems like the sentiment is pretty consistent. A lot of you are outraged. And you know what? I agree with you 100%. I think it's wrong to take this approach. And let me just preface my rant by saying I understand the effects of long-term injuries and the effects on the lifestyle of former NFL players from playing the game of football. I understand it. But you knew these risks going in, and do not BS us or the fans by saying, well, we didn't really know the effects. Hello? You're playing a high-impact sport. You have to be an idiot to not know that there's a big risk of injury. And you take that with each and every job. Construction workers, there's a level of risk with that job. Electricians. There is a lot of jobs that have a certain level of risk. And that is basically like a waiver. You're in this environment. You understand the risks involved. And if you get injured, I'm sure the company does its best to take care of you. But you cannot blame that company when you understand the risks. And then get mad about them later when one of those risks ends up coming to fruition and causing injury. It's like owning a rabid animal, bringing it into your home. The rabid animal sitting foaming in the mouth in the corner, and if you go over and pet it and get bit and get rabies, you can't sue the animal. Now, I know you can't sue animals, folks. I'm just making an analogy. This is why this is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm really as a fan, I'm kind of offended by this. You're going to sit there and be fine. And I know a lot of former players aren't in this position, but let me just say this. It's completely fine for a lot of these former NFL players to make millions of dollars, sign these big fat contracts, get endorsement deals, get money that, let me just tell you, partial of their salary, partial of what they make, partially is made up of fan contributions. We buy your merchandise, we buy your tickets, we go to the games, we support your teams, we follow you on social media. And all of these players, perfectly fine while they're getting the money, but now all of a sudden they want to sue. And they want money. That's what it comes down to. Money. Money. On the flip side, here's another point. Everybody, including players, mostly players, get really ticked off when the NFL comes out with new rules. And these new rules, as they're spinning it, are safety related. We hear, oh, they're emasculating the NFL. It's a wussy league now. Well, you cannot say that in one breath and then turn around and sue the NFL for all these injuries from the violent sport. It seems rather asinine. So I have a huge problem with NFL players suing the league. You know what? It's not the league's fault you mismanaged your money when you were making it in the NFL. And you know, another point is, we had this huge discussion and this huge debate within the sports media community and among sports fans last season in relation to concussions in the NFL. And a lot of these players came out. Troy Polamalu, one of them from the Pittsburgh Steelers, came out and he said, well, there was times where I had a concussion and I didn't say anything to anybody. I just went back in the game. I'm sure he's not the only one. So I don't get the logic. If you really were concerned about your long-term health, why are you going in and playing the game injured? And B, after your first concussion or concussion scare, why don't you retire? So I hope this lawsuit goes nowhere. I hope it does. And I don't mean that to sound callous or cruel to former NFL players. I sympathize with their position, their health. I think it's a shame. And I think the NFL should do more to protect former players. But not at the expense of letting players come in and rake millions of dollars more out of the NFL and turn this into, it's like political positioning. And I think it's bullcrap. And a lot of fans have expressed the same sentiment to me. So it's going to be interesting how this whole lawsuit, who sues the league, how many lawsuits, class action, what type of path that goes down. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds in the future. And certainly won't be the last time we discuss it on this show. Alright, I gotta give another rant. I was wrong about my prediction. And I predicted my team, Big Blue, the Michigan Wolverines, to win the NCAA men's basketball tournament. And although they made it to the championship game, as I predicted, they didn't win. And I predicted the championship game. I said Louisville would go on to face the Michigan Wolverines, which they did. And although Michigan had a nice lead in the first half, it would crumble in the second half. And one thing that stood out to me, and I do not want to sound like a sore loser or a bitter fan, is the officiating. It was horrendous in this game. And it went both ways. But there was a lot of instances where Louisville, certain players should have fouled out. I won't name names. Should have fouled out. And they didn't. There was a lot of kind of mysterious calls in that game. And should be looked at further. But the NCAA, well, they basically crapped all over this whole tournament and this championship game yet again. And the integrity of officiating has certainly hurt the integrity of the game overall, and that is a shame. First of all, the Michigan Wolverines players, their fans, these kids don't deserve it, and neither does Louisville. Neither do any of the teams in the NCAA tournament. I understand we're all out there to make money as a business, as a company, and that's exactly what NCAA is. They're a company. But you need to protect the integrity of your game. And officiating is one area you need to vastly improve upon. Again, guys, you can share your thoughts with me directly on Twitter at Anthony DiMoro, and come on over to SportsRantz.com and connect with me there. Let me know how you think NCAA officiating has been this season. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know. All right, everybody out there, I tweeted about this recently. I know a lot of people aren't wrestling fans, but a lot of people, including myself, are. And I shelled out the $70 to watch WrestleMania 29. $70. That's a lot of money. And that price tag goes up each and every year, just keeps climbing up and up and up. And I understand it, it's a business. But in all reality, did you really get the bang for your buck at WrestleMania 29? I will say this. In comparison to other WrestleManias, I'm glad there was no celebrity appearances or interaction or a celebrity like Snooki in a match. I'm glad. I don't pay to see that crap. I don't ever want to see that crap. I think it's cool celebrities are there in the crowd, but that's the extent of it, and that's where it should be contained. WrestleMania 29 had a lot of two-star matches. It really did. Mediocre. But I'm not paying $70 to watch mediocre matches. I'm paying $70 to watch classic matches. And the WWE dropped the ball with this event. Dolph Ziggler didn't cash in. No WrestleMania moments. Punk and Taker saved the pay-per-view. Lesnar Triple H was an impressive, intense match. Oh my God, I don't understand why the heck the WWE has dropped the ball so many times with this crap. You had the perfect opportunity to turn John Cena heel, and you didn't do it. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Hurts my head. Hurts my head. You have your fans chanting for this stuff to happen, and if you're a company that claims you give the fans exactly what they want, and you gauge the direction of your storylines on what the fans want, you're ignoring us. And you know what's even worse? Is how great Raw was the next night. Give me my $70 back. Because Monday Night Raw was awesome. And it seems like the things they didn't do at WrestleMania, aka Dolph Ziggler cashing in his money in the bank, they seem to try to rectify it on Monday night. And that was a better show. It was a better show. And frankly, you switched the two around, you would have had a good Raw and a great WrestleMania. For my money, anyway. And seriously, was that crowd in New Jersey not the best wrestling crowd ever? I mean, seriously, all the chants they did. And what I found great, because it's been stuck in my head for forever and a day now, is Fandango. That's how you say his name. Great character. Did I not say that this guy was legit good, going to be a good wrestler? His gimmick was ridiculous, but Fandango. This is great. I just sat on a show and pronunciated his name as he would in character. He's doing a great job. And you know what was a great thing? Is his theme music is so damn catchy. It's been stuck in my head for like, I don't know, 2 weeks. I get out of bed, I hear it, I do a little cha-cha side to side. And even the crowd in New Jersey, I mean, just take a listen.
Not quite the debut Fandango wanted here tonight in ring on WWE Raw. And again, the WWE fans are singing Fandango's entrance theme.
Does that not make you want to just get up and dance a little bit? Now let's do it once again.
Not quite the debut Fandango wanted here tonight in ring on WWE Raw. And again, the WWE fans are singing Fandango's entrance theme.
Again. Why not, right? Especially if that plays on. Let's do it once again.
Not quite the debut Fandango wanted here tonight in ring on WWE Raw. And again, the WWE fans are singing Fandango's entrance theme.
Interaction like that. He just got over and he doesn't even have to turn face. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops as time goes on. I'm going to do something a little bit new right now, and I'm going to rant about some video games. Now, Borderlands 2, and I want to ask you guys this. They recently released their level cap increase, but is it too little too late? Is it? Because I was addicted to Borderlands 2 when it first came out. And that's a strong statement because I like to play a lot of Madden. I love 2K, the basketball, NBA 2K. I love that whole series. And I just couldn't put Borderlands 2 down. But you know when I put it down? Is when I reached level 50. And there was nothing else to do. I've played the game 3 times. And all your Vault Hunter modes. I've done it. Numerous characters. That's all fine and dandy when you have downloadable characters, but I've played the game 4 or 5 times. 3 times I went through and beat it. What the hell else is there gonna be new? And Borderlands 2 waited way too long to release their level cap increase. Ridiculously long. You know what happened? I stopped playing. I did. And I picked up Halo 4 and I started playing that. And you know what else happened? When the level cap increase did finally hit, and I jumped on Borderlands 2, I just wasn't interested. You lost my interest. You lost it. You had all the momentum in the world, and you dropped the ball. Borderlands 2, don't get me wrong, is definitely the game of the year in my book, but hopefully next time it comes out, you do it right. Stop capping it at 50. Great thing about Halo 4 is it's capped out well over the hundreds. I think it's like 130 is the cap or something like that. Something ridiculous is the cap on Halo 4. It could even be more than that. But Borderlands 2 just dropped the ball. And seriously, season passes and then downloadable characters you gotta pay for even if you have the season pass. I know it's a business. I get it. But if that's the case, hike up the price of your season pass and give a reward for these guys that have your season pass. Ridiculous. So Borderlands 2, listen, I love everything that Gearbox does. I think they're great. I think they kick ass, other than the Aliens game, which was an atrocity. Seriously, don't ever crap on such a good concept as an Aliens game like that ever again. Don't even bother. But Gearbox, definitely, you know, they're a good company. They did great work with Borderlands 2. It's very innovative. I just lost interest. How do you feel? Tweet me, rant me, go on Facebook, let me know. Halo 4 is another game that I just kind of hit a brick wall with. I love everything about Halo 4. But what I find stupid in that game is as you hit level 50 and you start racking up the specializations, you can't stack skills on top of one another. So what the hell is the sense of playing them? And seriously, if I can't stack it, like if I can't get the, you know, stealth assassin skills, I understand each of them have like a mod you can add onto your profile. Well, then what the hell is the sense? I don't get it. Maybe I'm playing it wrong? I don't know. But you guys can add me on Xbox, Sin12282. Add me. Go ahead. I'll game with you when I'm on. Right now, I gotta warn you, kind of on Madden. Kind of on that. That doesn't get old for me. And then I probably will jump on NBA 2K13. So, yeah. Send a request. Maybe we can game sometime. Who knows? Alright, guys. Let's unveil the fan mail of the week. You tweeted me your sports-related questions, and I am going to do my best to answer them. So let's go right here. And once again, guys, next week, when I ask you for your sports-related questions on Twitter, tweet me. Let me know what you think. I'll do my best to answer them with opinions, rants, and of course, I'll air the good ones. So here's this week's fan mail. Let's see what it says. All right, this first one comes from @JBTweetsNothings. It's a creative little name. And he says, general consensus is the New York Knicks style won't work in the postseason. Can you see them making a title run? No, I can't. And you know why I can't see them making a title run? Because Carmelo Anthony is a ball hog. And in the playoffs, two things stand out. Teamwork, defense. The Knicks, questionable defense. And Carmelo Anthony is that offense. And as a Phoenix Suns fan who watched a team that lived by the fast break and lived and died by the three, that style does not work in the postseason. It does not translate to much success. I don't see New York doing much of anything in the playoffs. And let me just say this, folks. I know everybody is basically wanting to crown the Knicks for their recent impressive run. But this isn't the beginning of the season. This isn't the middle of the season. This is the end of the season where a lot of teams are resting their starters. And the Knicks are making this run now. I'm just not that impressed. Not that impressed. So JB, I gotta say, I don't see him making a title run. I don't see them hanging with Miami. I don't see them hanging with Boston. I certainly don't see them hanging with Indiana. It's gonna have to come down to luck, and Chicago, add that in that mix too. I think Chicago would embarrass New York in a series, and that's what happens in the playoffs. It's different defense. It emphasizes teamwork, and you're defended a lot differently. So Carmelo Anthony, hey buddy, it's nice when you're dropping 50, 40 points, and you want the scoring title, but get your teammates involved. You might actually win in the postseason. Alright, here's another question coming from @MichaelHearnPBP. With all the big sporting events going on this month, what one is the least interesting and why? Wow, that is a good question. Houston Astros games. Seriously, Houston Astros games. Uninteresting. Embarrassing. It's like watching a AAA team. Not that AAA baseball is embarrassing, but when you're turning on a Major League Baseball game and you see, well, minor leagues, pretty much the same stuff you see in the minor leagues, it's pretty disinteresting. So I think Houston Astros, and of course I'm being funny, Houston Astros baseball games are the least exciting sporting event. But what has not excited me at all this month? Let's see here. WrestleMania interests me. NCAA tournament interests everybody. Major League Baseball opened its season. March is one of those months that has a ton of stuff going on. April is one of those months that has a ton going on. So, if you're asking, which event least interested me, gotta be honest, out of all the major ones, baseball. It really has. I'm not into it yet because I have basketball. I have the NFL draft to focus on. So, to answer your question, jokingly, the Houston Astros, but least interesting, Major League Baseball. And I love watching baseball. I love watching the Yankees, but it's just not interesting to me right now. I'll watch in a couple of weeks after they have some games under their belt. But right now, if you're asking me, holding a gun to my head, and asking you which one of these major popular events is the least interesting, I would say baseball. That's not to suggest it's not interesting, but it's the least out of all these major events, at least in my humble opinion. Alright, back to the fan mail. @Brittany Tuffer. I told you I really like this question. Glad you asked. She asked me, what are your thoughts on the state of basketball culture in Canada, as the Raptors fail to make the playoffs yet again? Has Raptors basketball ever been exciting in Canada, aside from when Vince Carter was there? Not really. I don't understand what the NBA's obsession is with going international, going into Canada. Listen, it may work to an extent with hockey because hockey is a Canadian sport. And wasn't James Naismith the Canadian? Didn't he invent basketball? I think so. So in theory, I don't understand why the NBA, the Toronto Raptors have struggled to be interesting in the NBA. They moved Vancouver out of there. In essence, you ruined a possible rivalry with that. And I just think basketball, I'll have to ask my Canadian listeners out there, but where does basketball rank in your scale of interests? I mean, where does it rank? Because as far as I see it, hockey's numero uno in Canada. And I think football with the CFL is not far behind it, but I think they're in second, maybe third place in that spectrum. And baseball too. Baseball's has a lot of interest up in Canada, but what about basketball? How interesting are the Raptors? And again, this has to do with their management. So if they're not producing, listen, winning solves everything. So if they're not producing winners, how long can it possibly hold anyone's attention? So it'll be interesting to see what the Raptors do here on out. I love the addition of Rudy Gay, but it's the Toronto Raptors. They'll screw it up. Andrea Bargnani is your center. You're going to be pretty boring to watch. All right, next one comes from @English by Johnny. Why did Terry Pegula give Davy Regier a contract extension prior to the start of this abomination of a season? He's basically referring to the Buffalo Sabres. Listen, I don't follow a ton of Buffalo Sabres. I do understand that they're pretty abysmal, but from a front office standpoint, it doesn't make sense to reshuffle your entire front office or managerial staff prior to a shortened season. What are you accomplishing? You're basically, if you get rid of the GM, you have a lame duck GM in there, regardless of what happens, because it's a shortened season. I would say just let time kind of unfold. That's the best you can say. They have some good young players there, and you gotta blow up that roster, so you gotta have stability somewhere, and it's gotta start in the front office. So I get the contract extension, and maybe there just wasn't any better options out there. So keep that in mind. Thank you for the question. I do like talking hockey on there. Ask me hockey questions. I like hockey, so ask me some questions, and I hope I answer that one for you. And our final one comes from @BRS Machine. Who is more likely to be a Jet on opening day, Darrelle Revis or Tim Tebow? Well, neither. Darrelle Revis will be traded very soon. I heard the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have finally agreed to part with the 13th pick in this year's NFL draft in the first round, and that should shore up the deal. Barring any setbacks, I would assume he'd be gone before the draft because the Jets would like to have that draft pick. Desperately need it in their rebuilding process. Tim Tebow's going to be released. I don't see him staying on that roster, so I can't pick one or the other. But, again, you're holding a gun to my head. Tim Tebow. I think Tim Tebow is more likely to be on that roster. So that answers your question. Thank you once again, guys, for submitting your questions to me, and you can do so at Anthony DiMoro is the handle on Twitter. We also ask it via our Facebook fan page, and you can just message me directly on SportsRantz.com. Remember, folks, my show, The Rantin' and Ravin' Show, airs every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sports Rantz Radio. We have 2 Denver Broncos coming on next week. Pretty kick-ass show. Make sure you don't miss it. No, seriously. Make sure you don't miss it. All right, guys. That's going to wrap it up for another edition of Ranters Insider. Stay tuned for more shows, not just from me, but from others, on SportsRantz TV and also Sports Rantz Radio. Don't forget to come on over to the site, SportsRantz.com, and just join our community. We're going to be doing some really kick-ass things, and I'm going to be making a very, 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 very special announcement within the next week. I actually have a timeline for this. I've hinted at it here and there the past couple of days, the past couple of weeks. I'm going to roll it out. Full detail. We're doing a major press release for this, so be on the lookout for it. I'll talk about it next week on the Ranters Insider. I'm Anthony DiMoro. You've been watching Ranters Insider, and you've been tuned in to SportsRantz TV, courtesy of SportsRantz.com. Until next time, folks, keep ranting.